Over the past 3 days, you have seen us do something old, something new, something borrowed, and we've now finally made it to something tiramisu.
Yeah, we did it!
So welcome back to Cooking for Fun, Wedding Edition. This feels like a bouquet. Let's do it. And for the last time, I am going to miss this part of our session. We're going to read the ingredients. For a creme fraiche raspberry tiramisu, the one we're making today, you will need 8 large egg yolks, 200 grams of granulated sugar, divided, 1.5 cups of heavy cream, 8 ounces of mascarpone, 8 ounces of vanilla creme fraiche, but normal creme fraiche is totally fine, Dutch processed cocoa powder, 2 cups of any type of strongly brewed coffee that you prefer, 500 grams of ladyfingers, and that is all you need to make the world's best dessert. I'm really excited to make it. So the reason I wanted to make a tiramisu for my wedding is, number one, it's the best dessert of all time. It perfectly mixes together creamy, but not too creamy, like it's not panna cotta creamy, as well as, you know when you dip cookies in milk and they're perfectly softened? It's that texture, but with coffee and occasionally booze. There's nothing better. We are skipping the booze because my fiance doesn't love a boozy tiramisu, and honestly, I don't really miss it. The first step, a really good hand mixer. We're mixing in 2 bowls, and a stand mixer would just be a lot of dishes for no good reason. We're making a big tiramisu, but not that big. I'm gonna start with the 8 yolks going into a bowl that I feel comfortable mixing in. And quickly follow that with 100 grams of granulated sugar. Mix that so that the fat of the egg yolks whips into the sugar, and it will go from deep orange to light yellow. This is kind of the same effect that happens when you whip butter and sugar together, but let me tell you how excited I am to not have to whip any softened butter on this particular day. I would not say it doubles in size, but it does get about 50% larger in size. Another good way to tell that it's ready is it should come off of your attachments and kind of flow down in a ribbon. So you see how we still have droplets happening here? We need to go like a little bit longer. I feel good about this. Beautiful. So you see how it went from like drop, well, now it's stuck, so you know, but you see the first pull, you got it. And also, it is a pale light yellow. And that is actually part of the air that is whipped into your tiramisu. So the paler it is, the better it is. So we're going to be whipping 227 grams of cool heavy cream in a large bowl and adding the remaining 100 grams of sugar. So we're making the 2 whipped elements first. That's the feeling of a tiramisu. It's so creamy, so good, but still light. Some of you might be wondering if you can do this by hand. Don't. Okay, we're at stiff peaks. It is possible to over whip cream. That's how you make butter. But with a hand mixer, it's pretty hard. I was joking. You can do this by hand. Would I? Never. Have I? Yes. Choose your own adventure. Don't blame me if you get tired. Next up, the one element of this recipe that does make it different than your classic tiramisu, and that is creme fraiche. What is creme fraiche? Thank you for asking. Can't believe we haven't talked about it. It is a cultured milk, similar to sour cream, but a little bit lighter, a little bit tangier. And they sell it as vanilla creme fraiche, which has all these vanilla bean flecks in it. It's really tasty, really light. You can absolutely do this with normal creme fraiche. What I like is mixing half creme fraiche and half mascarpone in a tiramisu. Still gives you that classic mascarpone flavor, but it also gives what I call a lightness and a more delicate texture to the tiramisu, while also giving you a little bit more tang than a mascarpone normally would. So tiramisu's classically very heavy as a dessert. This makes it feel a little lighter, a little better paired with raspberries, but still very much itself. Also, my favorite part, we use one whole thing. And we also use one whole thing. Would I leave you with 2 halves of these things? Never. You're welcome.
What do you have to say to people that are like, why can't you just mix these in one bowl?
Oh, actually, great question. They both need to be aerated in a different way. So the egg yolks need that time to change in color, and the only way that they will do that is if they are mixed with the sugar by themselves. This heavy cream, same thing. It won't whip up to the stiff peaks you need unless it's just the heavy cream and the sugar. And then we're adding the creme fraiche and the mascarpone here because we can do a quick mix in here and the heavy cream won't be too bothered. And then we can fold in the egg yolk. So it's all about keeping that aeration throughout, because while it is a dense custard that we're left with at the end, it still is relatively light compared to other similar desserts. And the mascarpone. Ooh, okay. Mascarpone education moment. Let it come to room temperature. There's a little stiff, so it's gonna make my job a little bit harder. Still possible. I'm gonna work it with this spoon a bit to get it a little bit more pliable. You want it spreadable butter texture, but we're celebrating today the fact that we're not using butter, so spreadable mascarpone texture. I will be looking greasy when making these for my wedding, but I will be much more sanitary because I'm gonna be feeding 90 people. You guys? Eh. And a quick mix. Wow. Now, my favorite part, we're folding in this fluffy mixture, which, like, see how thick it is? Sticking to the sides. That's the texture you want. And we're gonna fold this in delicately, gently, to this mixture. It's a fold and not a mix. Wow. Okay, appreciation for the ribbon. Gonna do 1/2 of it first. And it's a fold, not a mix, because again, we want to maintain all that air, all that texture that we whipped into everything. We want to keep it for as long as possible. Oh, and let's say you use normal creme fraiche, totally fine. It's pretty hard to find the vanilla creme fraiche, so probably that'll be what most of you are doing. If you want these same vanilla bean flecks, you can get a vanilla bean if you want to splurge and just scrape out the inside, add in 1/4 teaspoon. Don't have to have too much, and then you'll get some nice vanilla flavor and some nice vanilla flecks. Wow. Nice. Okay, so we started at 1:30. It's 1:44, and I've done a lot of stupid things in between. So that really should take you about 7 minutes of time. Okay, so that is the bulk of it. And then this I could absolutely lie to you and say I thrifted it. I did not. I got it from Wayfair, which normally not my furniture store of choice. It's not even a furniture store. It's kind of like the Amazon of furniture, but I looked up trifle dish and this is the perfect size for this particular recipe. And it comes out looking really pretty. And it uses a whole thing of these. So, Wayfair, you did something right. Now, for the assembly, we're gonna make a station so that everything's streamlined. This is gonna be where we dip our ladyfingers. My recipe calls for 2 cups of any strongly brewed coffee or cold brew. The reason I like cold brew is because the flavor is super, super fresh. And since we aren't doing a boozy, either rum or cognac filled tiramisu, it's nice to have that freshness of flavor. Also, it's cold, so it won't turn your ladyfingers into mush immediately. And then you also don't have to worry about cooling it. Interesting thing about coffee, it does change in flavor when it goes from hot to cold. Ask your experienced barista about it, not me, but I saw a TikTok, so it's fact. And the other part of the station is gonna be our Dutch processed cocoa powder. The difference between normal cocoa powder and Dutch processed cocoa powder is not something I could tell you from the ingredients, seeing as this is all in Dutch. Let's see, let's learn. Okay, okay, there's no real facts on here, but Dutch processing is a different type of processing of cocoa powder. Our cocoa powder has no sweetener in it. This has a slight amount of sweetener in it. So it's just a richer, slightly sweeter, more chocolatey on initial taste than our cocoa powder. I prefer it. I always equate it to people who haven't tasted it as tasting kind of like Oreo cocoa. So we're gonna prep a little sifter. And we can add more as we go. That's probably around 15 grams or half of what this recipe calls for. And now, the best part, ladyfingers. I have never ever known somebody to make ladyfingers from scratch. If that's your thing, go for it. I don't have a recipe for you. However, I like having the store-bought kind with just a bit of sugar on top. It makes the tiramisu slightly sweeter, and I think it's really nice. Let us begin. I like to start with a dusting of cocoa powder. And this is common in traditional tiramisus or most tiramisu recipes to line the bottom with cocoa powder. I'm gonna line every single layer because I like the little chocolate hit. You guys have probably made tiramisu. This is not gonna be news to you, but a quick dip of the ladyfinger. And then I'm gonna do a double layer of these actually, so that you can see the layers on the edges. A creme fraiche custard is a little bit thinner than a full mascarpone one, not significantly, but enough that it'll really layer onto these. So a double layer will help them have a little bit more of a moment in the tiramisu. And I once did a dinner pop-up at a place in Brooklyn, and we had tiramisu on the menu, and I was so excited about it. But I was really worried about making sure that the ladyfingers were moist enough. So I was really dipping them. I was dipping them for more than a quick second. And what happened is they maintained all of that coffee mixture because we were layering them between the custard. And then when I cut into it, it was like seeping out, like when a steak doesn't rest long enough and all the juices just come out. So you can over dip. So just a quick dip and a double layer. If you're doing this in a 9-inch baking dish, which is the other vehicle I'd recommend doing this in, this will be even. You won't have to worry about trifle dish things. And then I'm going in with a layer of custard. I guess this is custard. And that'll kind of ease out on its own to the edges, which is what's nice about this being a thinner filling than your average tiramisu. And then a dusting of cocoa powder, which is really pretty and very satisfying. Again. Little last topper. I'm gonna go straight in the middle so I can ease it out to the corners. I have eased a few layers out to the corners just to give everything a nice even distribution. Oh, this is my favorite part. I also like tiramisus because they feel, for how easy they are, they feel very romantic. I don't know, it's just, I've never had a tiramisu and not been like, this is such a nice little gesture of love. So, the easiest of the wedding desserts, but dare I say my favorite? We're gonna let this set, and then once it sets, top it with raspberries, and then it's wedding ready. Okay, our tiramisu had some time to settle. The last step is just put it, ooh, these are freshly washed. We shake them out. The last step, definitely for flavor, also for aesthetics, is we're just gonna dot them on top. Cute. And also raspberry is a tartar berry and it goes really well with the creme fraiche. But of course you can use whatever berries you want. You can also just use cocoa powder. Your wedding, your rules. Also, somebody in the comments said something really sweet the other day. They said, this is for like my wedding cake vlogs. They were like, just a reminder, like these might be her wedding cakes, but if you want to make them anytime for any reason, you absolutely can.
That's cute.
Very cute. And I agree wholeheartedly. So this tiramisu you saw, probably the easiest thing we've made on cooking for fun. And you deserve it anytime for any reason. Cute.
Woo!
Woohoo! The easiest episode has turned out to be the finale episode of Wedding Cake Extravaganza, Baking for Fun / Cooking for Fun. I'm never going to do it again. I'm dying inside. But all of us have collectively said that tiramisu is our favorite dessert. So, you know how it tastes. We know how it tastes. It's probably the best dessert ever. We're just going to serve it up. I hope you have enjoyed this 4-parter. I hope you make these recipes. These episodes are now available on YouTube for you to use as tutorials, but also if you like watching me struggle, that's free. And I hope everything turns out like this on my wedding. I hope I have some footage that I get to share, but this was fun. I think I can say that now that it's over, but this was fun. So please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in 2 weeks with something so salty, like so deeply salty. Okay, let's do it. Woo! A classic.
This is her perfect soakage.
Thank you. We did it!
Woo!